Hello, guys. It is Turnover Thursday. If Gino's watching, which there is a good 100% chance that he is not watching, it is not Touchdown Thursday. It is Turnover Thursday. And the reason it is not Touchdown Thursday and Turnover Thursday is because it is a mentality thing, right? It is all about the ball. If you try too hard to get points, you're going to get your mentality wrong, and you're going to start doing things like reading the route wrong because you're hyper-fixating on the end zone or on making a certain type of play, and you're not focused on the present moment. Remember what I always talk about is don't think about the past, don't think about the future, think about the immediate now. If you're like Buddhist or something, I'm sure you can kind of vibe with that. And Pete Carroll vibes with that all the time. And Russell Wilson would talk about having like amnesia, where you're not really thinking about what just happened. And fucking Marshawn Lynch talked about this. I think it was on Shannon Sharp's show, where he's like, yeah, I saw Russell Wilson throws this interception, and he goes, get him next time. And first of all, if that was me and I just threw a Super Bowl touchdown, I would be fucking pissed. I think that you should be allowed to be a little pissed. But also, in the middle of a game, you shouldn't be thinking, I'll get the next time. You should be thinking, well, right now I need to take this next step. Or I need to take the step I am taking right now. Pardon me. I thought I was prepared. I had some spicy buffalo chicken wings right before this, which might have been a bad decision. Oh yeah, I'm just going to drop that right on the carpet. I am all class. Just like Marshawn Lynch. Remember when he used to shove chicken wings in his socks? Oh yeah, I love my Kings. I'll be right back. Hold on a second. I tell you, that was going to drive me nuts. We're about to have an accident on the stream. Anyways, see? The immediate now. Can't be... I could have just been like, I got to be focusing on the future. But no, I just got to take care of it right then and there. And like a turnover, you got to... What is my life? You gotta be focusing on following the progression of the play to avoid a turnover, and then by doing that, you will be enabled the opportunity to get a touchdown. Don't be thinking, I need to get a touchdown. I don't need to focus on getting this explosive play. I don't need to be focused on throwing the ball downfield to DK Metcalf 14 times because hopefully he'll beat this guy because he's so big and athletic. If you do that, you know what you're going to do? You're going to, oops, I forgot to blow my nose before the stream. And then you're going to have an interception in front of whoever decides to witness this. I'm not cutting that because it makes my point sound. I was so busy focused on the future, I forgot to focus on the present moment, which was the separation is in the preparation. You got to prepare yourself in the immediate now, which is why we have Turnover Thursdays. We want to avoid putting ourselves in situations like this, where we have a turnover, where we make a mistake so great that I literally had to walk off screen to take care of a problem. Where Gino on offense, he makes a mistake so great, he has to walk off the field. Look what I did there. I followed the process of the play, and I just did something great. One might even say I made a touchdown. I took that, it's not a metaphor, it's an analogy. I just made an analogy out of blowing my nose during a stream. And you see what I'm getting at? You got to focus on Turnover Thursday, not Touchdown Thursday, because otherwise I would be focused so hard on trying to make something out of nothing that I would have forced it. No, I needed to take care of the problem, and then on the immediate now, focus on the narrative, and then it naturally just came upon me. You need to naturally put yourself in situations to succeed, and it will come upon you, and that's how you avoid turnovers. And if you focus too hard on trying to succeed or avoid a turnover, then you're going to fail. And that's what I want to talk about today. Because now that we've established why Turnover Thursday is important, how it can affect our lives, right, as we go about things in our daily lives. Like, I don't need a coat, right? Get your coat, right? Little things like that. Let's focus on the immediate now and prepare ourselves. So there's some things I would like to talk about in relation to this Commanders game in Turnover Thursday, because Pete Carroll does this every single week. Yesterday, we just did the game planning. And if you watched that stream, or if you recall, my theories on game planning is Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator of the Commanders, he was likely going to pull a little bit of the Browns game and try to hit us with screens on the outside and kind of try to spread the ball around. It was not going to be like the Ravens game. Remember the Mike Tyson analogy where he wanted to keep everything tight and bring us all in and then split us up the middle and tear us all apart from the inside so that he could gash us from the inside and spread us apart naturally that way. And then the opposite is to be said with Eric Bieniemy, where he wants us to be outside like this, and then every once in a while they'll do a draw play and hit us in here since we're exposed, but we don't really care. It's kind of the opposite. But when you do that, you can do like a screen play down here at the front, and you have to desperately run to engage. And we discussed all of that yesterday. And then also I talked about how I believed the Jack Del Rio, the defensive coordinator, it depends, because they lost Montez Sweat and Young. Sweat and Young. They lost Sweat and Young. Their ends. Their best players basically on that D line. And so I wasn't sure if they were going to keep using what he calls their Cinco package, because they like to use 5 linemen up there. It's basically a 5-1. So picture like a dime package where you have 4 people and then you have a linebacker or a safety, and then nothing else, is just defensive backs. He does that, but then has a 5th lineman there. But according to Matt Bullock, check the description of the previous video. They sometimes switch to like a 4-3-3-4 scheme. They try to go super vanilla the last time that those 2 players were out injured. So that might happen this game. I'm not sure. But this is to say that this is preparation for what we're about to discuss. An individual named Derek Clausen from the Bleacher Report specializes in the NFL draft quarterback charter for NFL recap. From at recap perception NFL at 33rd team football. I guess they've done a lot of things. At QB Claus, KLASS. That's where they're on Twitter. At QB Claus. Derek Clausen showed some charts that I suppose. No, just showed some charts from receptionperception.com. I have the link below. But they're Geno Smith's route percentage and success by route week 9 versus the Ravens. And thank you very much, Mr. I assumed your pronouns, Clausen, for sharing these. And as Mr. Clausen so poignantly noted, Geno Smith never really had a chance against this Ravens defense. And here's why. You might say, well, they didn't really give him a lot of check down routes. Waldron didn't give him an opportunity to get rid of the ball under so much pressure. He kind of had a lot of opportunity to get rid of the ball. When we look at the route percentage that Geno Smith had, 14% of his routes, of all of the routes, right? So if you split every single route out there, all of them at the same time, 14% of all of the routes at the same time were a check down. So he almost always had a check down. 21% of the time, he had a curl route. 10% of the time, he had an out route. Which those are scary routes. Those are the ones that lead to pick sixes, which we almost saw him throw a pick six on. 10% of the time, almost 11. It's 10.7. He threw a post route. There was a post route ran. To be clear, he's not throwing these routes. These are routes that were ran on the field. And then there was a 9 route where you just run straight to the green. That's 10.7% of the time, so just as much as the post. Here's the thing. Here's what I'm most curious about. Only 3.6% of the time were slants run. Why aren't we running slants to DK Metcalf or Lockett or JSN or especially DK or I think Parkinson can do it. Why aren't we running? Okay, so comeback routes are 0%. And then dig routes are 3.6%. And I get that because that's a long developing route. Corner routes are 3.6%. Those are hard routes to throw. Maybe he just can't. Maybe he's hard at throwing it. Or it's hard because of the safeties that we're covering. But slant routes are bread and butter. Those are easier to throw than checkdowns. That's the easiest route in the playbook. Is a slant route. That's my quarterback sucks. Well, let's get a slant route out there and let's see if he can get something going. Why is that tied with the lowest amount of routes called? Especially considering we have at least 2 really, really, really good receivers. This is giving JSN I don't know how good he is at slant routes yet, but I know Lockett can do it, and I know DK can do it. So why aren't we running slant routes? Well, okay. So let's go to success by route. When DK targets the route, how successful is he at throwing it? Well, when he targets that slant route, which again is the least targeted route, he was 0%. So is it that the one time he tried to do it, or how many ever times that the route was ran, which was not many, he didn't succeed? We could say, well, maybe he didn't throw it. No, because there's the comeback route is listed as not available because he didn't attempt to throw a comeback route. Oh no, comeback route was 0%. They didn't try a comeback route. Maybe he didn't try to throw the slant. No, because the post, they ran the post so many times, that's listed at 0% as well. I don't know what that means. Did he not try to throw a post, which was being called all the time, or was he just missing? At any rate, it must be he's just straight up missing. If he's throwing that post and he's missing the post, he's not hitting that post, because the post was called on 10.7% of the routes. They were calling the post constantly, and he's got 0% on those post routes. At least he hit a third of the 9 routes that he attempted to hit. And again, that as many 9 routes were called as the post route. But again, 0% on the slant, and they're just not calling slants. The check down was a big one, 14% called, but he only hit a quarter of them when he attempted to throw it. So when he was trying to hit a check down, he was missing, and maybe that's him like throwing it into the ground. Curl route was the most routes called. That's where you go up like 10 to 15 yards, and then you just turn around really quick and get ready to catch it. It's often at times a timing route, but we called it all the time. And maybe that's just, it's like a man beater or a zone spot beater. And he actually had pretty good success against those, 66.7%. So unless he was hitting those 100% of the time, that was like the highest rate compared to his out route. His dig route, he hit that 100% of the time, but that was called just as much as the screen. The problem with the dig route is that you're either hitting that on the 5th step, or it's, you got to hit it perfectly. And actually, Pete Carroll commented that it was the DK near touchdown on the end zone that was also a near pick. That if Geno wasn't forced to throw it early because Cross wasn't able to hold on to the pass rusher, that DK might have been able to get open into the actual gap where it's supposed to be, and Geno wouldn't have been forced to throw it early into the waiting arms of the underneath defender. So maybe the reason I'm bringing this up is because I want to identify routes that Geno played against a really good defense and see where he had the most success and what type of routes I would like to see him get called more. And specifically, I've been talking about, let's simplify the offense a bit. Sometimes you get routes that are just like, let's just move that defender out of the fucking way. If he can't hit a post route, but he can hit a 9 route and a dig route, you know what a post route does? It brings the defender closer to a dig route. And it also makes it a little harder for the quarterback to read. But he can hit a 9 route. So let's just run the 9 route. And let's kind of run the corner routes more than the post route. Because it's going to force that safety over. And it'll make it more likely that he's going to hit that dig route. And then all those extra snaps that are going to go to the post will even out. We'll run more slants. And so just like, cut the posts out altogether and rebalance the types of route trees that you're running and attack very specific types of the fields with the routes. Not necessarily where you're throwing the ball, but with the routes. And you can see where he's succeeding against good teams. And then also you're just like, why aren't you using routes that your teams are good at. And you can see, like, well, he is succeeding with these long developing routes. The curl route takes a little bit of time because that's a comeback route where you got to come back and back. But they flat out didn't call comeback routes, which are about 15 to 20 yards downfield, and you need a bunch of space. And a safety often sees it coming a mile away. And out routes are dangerous because there's nothing stopping a defensive back from coming, intercepting that ball, and then just housing it every single time you throw it. So you gotta get it perfect, unless it's like a deep out, right? A nice 15 yards deep out. But then that also takes time. So, maybe just, run something else. And it's often just a space clearer. So it's interesting looking at this just to think about the types of interceptions he's thrown. Because if you think about like that DK interception early in the year on the left side, I'm pretty sure that was a comeback route. And then you look at this Ravens game, they didn't call a comeback route. And then like DK has been dropping those slants. Is that why they weren't calling slants against that Ravens team as much? But it still is useful for clearing out space. So you still gotta call them, right? I can understand why you wouldn't call the comeback route because there's other routes you can call to clear out space up there that can be useful. But you should be running slants, because even if you don't hit the exact slant on that spot, slants are still useful along the route tree, along all the step points for the quarterback. So it's like what are they called? The routes that are just deep and wide. I don't know why it's eluding me right now. It's just one of those routes that just cuts across the field, and it's just as good as a check down, because eventually you can't cover him forever, and it's gonna break the defense's scheme forever, because you can't account for, well, it's the 7th step or the 9th step, and this slant is still fucking going on. So I'm just gonna throw it underneath because, well, the scheme, the play's broken and he's still open. He or he's finally open, and because DK's so fast, he's just gonna run across the field. Eventually he's gonna get open on the other side where that out's gonna be anyways. So just run a slant, and even if he can't beat the slant right away on step 3, he's probably gonna win on step 7. So I don't know why you can't run like the easiest play in football. It's football 101. Run the slant. Against good defenses, just fucking do it. Let's get to get rid of the outs, which we keep seeing Geno almost throw interceptions with. Get rid of the comebacks, which it looks like they already got rid of the comebacks because he keeps throwing interceptions to the comebacks. I'd like to see more of those digs, because it looks like they identified exactly why he almost threw that interception to the dig. And I would like to see the post get turned more into a corner. Let's get more of those corner routes. And we've been seeing those corner routes, touchdowns to like Parkinson and Diggs and Lockett and all those other guys for years, those deep corner routes. And Geno's been good at those corner routes. And so if he's also good at a dig, set it up so that those safeties want to climb over, and so that you can hit the dig. And if you're running the ball really, really well, you can put your safety in conflict. Because if they're running in a one safety system, which if they're in Cinco, then they're in a 5 defensive front system, and then one of their safeties typically pulls down. They like to run in like a Think of it as like a cover 3 system or a cover 1 system with five guys up front. So if they only have one safety over the top and you're hitting those corners, that safety then has to decide, well, do I cover DK in this corner, or do I cover Tyler in this corner, or do I stay near the middle to cover the dig? And if you want to, I don't even care about the post. I just want Parkinson running that 9 route straight to the grass. Because if you have him running the post, then that safety just sits in the same little bubble, which is dig or post. And if he sees that the ball is lower, he's just going to run to the dig. And if he sees it's higher, he's just going to drop to the post. So it's bad spacing. Get rid of the post route for what you're trying to do, because you can't run the comeback and you're not running the outs because DK keeps throwing interceptions there. And for God's sakes, run a fucking slant. It's football 1-on-1. It'll make it so easy on Gino. It'll make it so easy on Gino. Just run a slant. Just do it. Less checkdowns even. It can be your check down. It doesn't need to be step 3. It's just as good. It's just as good. Trust me. And then run the fucking ball. All those things together will help our ability to turn over the ball tomorrow. Sunday. Thursday Night Football is going to start soon. I now want to talk a little bit about our turnover differential. Yay, turnover differential. I hate math. I don't know what I'm doing. So this is for 2023. And I just want to talk to you like how close like a season can be based off of just turnovers. We have what is our exact record? It's 5-3, right? I have ADHD and excuses I like to whip out from time to time. Yeah, we should have 5-3. Yep. And then the Commanders should be 4. And have they had their bye yet? Yeah, they're 4-5. They haven't had their bye yet. We're 5-3. They're 4-5. Where is turnover differential? And so this is kind of like, let's get in the mindset of like, who's gonna get a turnover for this game? Why is a commercial for Hertz Hulu has live sports suddenly on my screen? No free ads. So right now, there are 2 teams currently tied for leading the turnover differential. And what this means, for those of you who can't process it right now, and I get you, is if you have given more turnovers than you have obtained, meaning I've thrown more interceptions than my defense has given. Perfect example. Let's say Gino throws 2 interceptions and Woolen has 1 interception. That means we have a -1 turnover differential because we have lost 2 and gained 1. Simple math. -2 plus 1, -1. So the Bengals and the Chargers currently lead the NFL with a +9 turnover differential based off of normal turnover standards, which are like fumbles and interceptions. There's also hidden turnovers, which most people don't count. We'll talk about those later. So, the question is, where do the Seahawks rank? They, let's see. They are down just under the 49ers. The 49ers have a +4 turnover differential. We have a +2 turnover differential. Ironically, above the Ravens have a +1 turnover differential. So the team that has only had one loss all year has, what is it? Have they had more fumbles? They've had more giveaways than we've had, and they've had more takeaways. Yeah, they just keep giving the ball away. The Ravens. They'd probably have a perfect season so far this year if they weren't giving the ball away so much. Which I think that's how the Jets beat them. I think it was the Jets that beat them. So when it comes to like the entire season, we're in the positive by 2. That's pretty good. Not as good as the 49ers. They could suck my balls. But, nothing's perfect. The Commanders are at -1 in the turnover differential. And if we look at it, they typically seem to give away interceptions. They have 5 fumbles. And that makes sense because they don't really run the ball. And they throw all over the field. And so it's if there's an opportunity for the defense to make a play on the ball, it's either going to be a strip sack, or it's going to be a special teams play, or it's going to be the the receiver getting it punched out, or it's going to be a play on the ball in the air. Out of curiosity, where are the Eagles, the team that leads our division, right? The one that we're all afraid of, nobody can beat, the one who, for some reason keeps having to use this brotherly shove on 4th down. This unstoppable team that for some reason needs to convert on 4th down. Well, they have a -2 turnover differential because they've turned the ball over 13 times. They've actually turned the ball over more than the Ravens. Who's turned the ball over the most? The Bears. The Bears. They turned the ball over 18 times. Oh my goodness. I was not expecting 18. Holy smokes. They also got the worst turnover differential with -9. They're on the opposite side of the of the Bengals. You do not want to be a Bear. You want to be a Bengal. Oh, good Lord. Oh, no. I'm sorry, Chicago. You're just not allowed to have nice things. I want to coach your team. I've wanted to coach your team since Lovie Smith left. I'm just saying, if for some reason this makes its way to your ownership, let me get involved with the GM and all that stuff. I would love to build your team and make you guys special. Because you're special right now. In like a home, like mom and pop shop kind of way. Like everyone loves you, but not the way you want to be. You don't want to be like pitied. Like, Grandma's in the kitchen again making cookies. Isn't she sweet? No, that's not what the Bears want to be. They don't want like Mama Bear vibes. They want like killer Mama Bear vibes. She's coming to get you. That's what you guys want. It's not what you're getting. Okay. Let's get on to hidden turnovers. So as it stands right now, oh wait, snap! I was so excited about. I want to talk about the Seahawks turnovers. I'm sorry. The +2 turnover differential. Whenever we give the ball away, it's typically Geno Smith turning over the ball. He's turned the ball over 7 times. We've only fumbled the ball 3 times. I think one of those might even be him with a strip sack fumbling. And I think one of those was a special teams. I don't think one of those was a special teams fumble. Has Ken Walker fumbled? Now I'm curious. He hasn't fumbled this year. I guess I could just look at the stat that I already... Who fumbled on the Seahawks this year? Oh. Yeah, so DJ Dallas. Oh, this is not good. Geno Smith has 7 interceptions this year and 3 fumbles, but he recovered one of them. DJ Dallas lost the other fumble we have on special teams. So Geno Smith has almost had 10 fumbles on the year. He's had 9. Turnovers. Geno Smith has almost had 10 turnovers on the season. I'm not okay with that. Why is the ball going through his hands? He's not supposed to be the offense. He's supposed to be the game manager. It's amazing that we have a +2 turnover differential. Our running backs, except for our special team running back, aren't turning over the ball. And is it because they're not running the ball, or is it because they're just good at controlling the ball? I keep seeing more and more and more evidence other than, they're just choosing the wrong gaps 25% of the time. that they need to be running the ball more. Mostly because they take care of the football, it looks like. We need to be running the ball smarter. We need to be more aggressive. And we need to be making sure that the quarterback is not under pressure so that he doesn't turn the ball over. So he can move the ball down the field. He shouldn't be thinking about touchdowns or anything like that. He needs to be thinking about, I'm just going to move the ball down the field. Let's just do it one play at a time, because he's almost had 10 turnovers on the year, and he should have had way more. Okay, let's get to hidden turnovers. Oh, teams' third down conversion percentage. When you have to punt, we call it a punt. It's just a label. A punt is when you turn the ball over and you give the ball to the other team. Whenever you give the ball to the other team, you are turning the ball over. A punt is a turnover. And when you fail to convert on third down, you turn the ball over. Unless you go forward on fourth down, we'll get to that. So for 2023, courtesy of teamrankings.com, which I guess I should add this one to the description as well. I'll do it. I have the NFL team third down conversion percentages for 2023. As of today. This is great. This is before the Thursday night football game. So these are all ranked, and we're going to start with whichever team between the Commanders and Seahawks has the better third down conversion rate. For comparison, Buffalo and Philadelphia currently lead the league with the 50% conversion rate on third down, which means that 50% of the time when they hit third down, they're going to convert and they're going to get a new set of downs. San Francisco, they have 46.43% and they're fourth. We just played Baltimore, 45.38%. So when we play San Francisco, if Brock Purdy gets his shit together, and they're running the ball, they might put another 30 points on us. Just be prepared for that. The Rams are ranked 9th at 42%. And then Washington, the Commanders, they're ranked 24th at 35.96%. So let's round that up to 36, which means that 36% of the time when the Commanders reach their down, they convert. So, we can kind of expect that they're going to get a few third downs and they're going to move the chains. Unless, in my opinion, if we can shut down these spreads and force them to be one-dimensional in the middle, which I don't think is what they're going to be good at. And then we can do very well. But historically, based off of their season, they're getting like 20-plus points every game. There's been 2 games where they've been shut down pretty well. And I did not watch that tape. If you want that tape, go look at like Matty F. Brown of Seattle Overload and some of the... Go watch Commanders tape. Surely there's a fan left that breaks down Commanders tape. Where is the Seattle team? We've reached 24 on third down. Well, they're ranked 30th. They're ranked 30th. They're when they reach third down, they're at 31.91%. We'll go ahead and run that up to 32, which means on third down, they're converting 31%. So less than a third of the time, just barely, if you kiss that cheek, less than a third of the time, they're not converting on third down, which kind of makes sense. If you take out the last 2 weeks where we played these really good defenses, literally the upper crust, the top DVOA champs. One team literally leads DVOA. The other team leads the league in sacks and is like right next to the other team in DVOA. If not, we just put them over the edge. Yeah, you're not gonna convert third downs, and so why this feels so high, the 31.2%, because it feels high to me, is because we did so well against the Lions and all of these other teams. We're not a bad offense. We haven't been moving the chains this year. Both can be true. We have not been moving the chains. Also, it kind of feels like for years now, we've always been clunky. And then like week 12, go 12s, it hits, and then we start moving the chains. And so I'm not like terrified at this number. I didn't close the tab, did I? My ADHD just clicked on something randomly. Oh, there it is. I'm not terrified at this number because I know we can get better. Because I haven't seen, like, not every single game has been the Baltimore and Browns game. If you look, like, the New York Jets are ranked 32. So two ranks below us. And their third down conversion rate when they play a team is 22%, which surely feels closer to me the way that we played against the Browns, against the Ravens. It feels like we're converting like 22%, right? That feels closer. And that's what the Jets have been doing, like, against everybody all year long, is not converting at all. And so you got to remember, like, Yeah, the last 2 weeks have been painful, but you got to have the context of who we've been playing against. We're not going to play them again all year. First of all, we're probably not playing Cleveland because fuck the Browns. And if we are playing the Ravens, I would love to not get our asses handed to us in the Super Bowl. But if we get good enough to make it to the Super Bowl, most likely it's not going to be the same game. Because I doubt we'd be out physicaled by that point. Because we got to go through the rest of this gauntlet that's coming. But if you really think about it, like San Francisco is at like 46%, and we're at 32%. The difference of conversion rate is crazy. And why? Because they're running the fucking football like madmen. Philadelphia is at 50%. What are they doing? They're running the ball. Kansas City, they're just Kansas City. Baltimore, they're running the ball. You want to hear the funniest stat? You want to hear something really stupid? Okay, so rank 1 Buffalo, rank 1 Philadelphia, rank 3 Dallas, rank 4 San Francisco, rank 6 Chicago. Kansas City, rank 6 Baltimore. Like all those playoff teams, right? The top of their divisions, maybe going to the championships, like everyone's talking about it. But rank 7 is Chicago. Chicago is converting 44% of their third downs. And they're just this god-awful team. It must be because Fields and company are just running the fuck out of the ball and just finding a way, and then not getting it, not getting into the end zone. Oh wait, no, because they're turning the ball over so much. They have the -9 turnover differential. Oh my god. Oh, I love these charts. Okay. On to the next one. 4th down. So you don't go for it. You fail on 3rd down, and then you decide to go in on 4th down. This is where it gets uninteresting to me. You turned it over on 3rd down, unless you want to try to turn it over on 4th down. Currently now, the brotherly shove is converting it the most. Philadelphia, number 1, 76.47% of the time. They are converting it. It'd be nice if they had the number of times that they attempted it on 4th down, because that's kind of important for this chart. Because right next to them is Tampa Bay, and they've converted 75%. And that's such a round number. Like what? Have they tried 4 times and succeeded 3? San Francisco, they're also at 75%, but then Minnesota is at 73.33%. These numbers are weird. If we decide to go for it on 4th down on Sunday, we have a 37.5% chance of converting it, which means we have a higher chance of converting it than we do on 3rd down. It's food for thought. Interestingly, if the Commanders decide to go for it on 4th down, they have a 50% chance of converting it. So hold on to your pants. Because it sounds like they're very smart about it, and they might move the ball. So if they're in a desperate situation, they might just They might just fucking run. It looks like the last 3 times they attempted it, they converted a third of them, though. We converted 50% of ours. So, that helps, right? Surely that matters. But as far as like turning over the ball, I don't want to see us go for it on 4th down. There's the never kick crew, and points are points, especially early in the game, in like the fourth quarter, in the first quarter. Get points, or put them in like 5 yards. We have a punter that can put them within 5 yards. Put them within 5 fucking yards and try to get a safety. Or better yet, try to get field position, because when they punt, you're just going to be like 10 yards within where you just were. So, fucking punt the ball. Play the field, be smart. Don't let them kick the ball and get points. More hidden gems that lead to turnovers, which again is punting the ball. Tackles behind the line of scrimmage. We already talked about sacks yesterday, but I should remind you that Sam Howell has already been sacked 44 times this year, which the most times Russell Wilson was sacked in a Seahawks season was 51. And then he beat his own record last year with the Broncos with 55 in fewer games. So, yeah, Sam Howell's getting the shit smeared out of him. So he might get sacked like 10 times. It could be like the Giants game. He's been sacked 9 times this year against the Bills and only put up 3 points. So we could just like shut them out. But also when he gets sacked, he also throws explosives because it opens up so much space. And since we've already established on 4th down, which they're willing to go for, they're pretty effective on 4th down. So they might not turn the ball over in 3rd and long or on 4th and long situations. So just be prepared. That being said, tackles for losses, not just sacks, but tackles for losses are going to be really critical in this game, especially if they're going to be doing screens to get these chunk plays whenever you spread the ball out. It's not about these 3 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards in a cloud of dust type plays. It's about, I'm going to try to get 7 over there. I'm going to try to get 7 over here. I'm just going to, and then boom, I hit 20. Boom, I hit 20 over there. I'm going to try to keep this defense running as much as possible. So if we can get a tackle for a loss, either on these outside plays, you know how JSN will get like a bubble screen and like, you got tackled for 3. Yeah, we might see a bunch of those going against the Commanders, where they're going to try to throw a little thing to their guys, and then we're going to see Witherspoon or Jamal hit a guy, and we're going to be like, yeah, and then they're going to throw for a 1st down, or we're going to be like, what the fuck, it just wasted this opportunity. Yeah, shit like that is probably going to happen, because it's just a sequence that they have. And when we see that happen with JSN, we think it's a wasted play, when really it's just a setup for another play. So be prepared for those, because you got to make those plays. And if we're not getting those tackles for loss against the Commanders in this game, those -3s are going to turn into 7-yard carries, or bubble screens, or whatever else you want to call them. So we need to get tackles for losses, and we need to make sure that when they do try to do a draw play or something, we don't get tricked and those turn into 1-yard tackles for losses. We don't want to give them any chunk plays, because they're going to try to not get 3rd and short, but they're going to try to gash us. And there's going to be missed throws, and then they're going to throw over here, and then they're going to throw over there. So you want to try to knock them back so that, yeah, they just threw a 7-yard pass, But since they lost 3 yards on the previous play, it's really a 4-yard pass on second down, because the first yard set them up to 2nd and 13. So then now you're set up and it's 3rd and 5, right? So it really all balances out. So tackles for losses can really help with your math against a pass heavy team, and not necessarily a run heavy team. So let's look at how many tackles for losses the Seahawks have had this year, which is 47. And I want to look at, since we're here, where is Jamal Adams? Jamal Adams has 3 tackles for losses this year out on the flat, I would assume, which is typically his domain. Jordan Brooks has 7, which again is going to be in like those gaps, like screens and right, that he plays those gaps really well. Or alongside Bobby, who has 4. Mafe has 6 tackles for loss. Do they count? I don't think they count sacks in there. Where is Witherspoon? Ooh. Oh, that's because it doesn't count against our team. Leonard Williams doesn't have any tackles for loss yet for the Seahawks. Witherspoon has 2 tackles for loss. So the safeties are capable, but they aren't it. Our big hitters for tackles for loss are Mafe and Brooks, which makes sense because they're the ones who are containing the edges. All right. We got 46 total tackles for losses. And Commanders, they have 43. All right, where are Cody Barton, their linebacker? I don't know if he sounds familiar to you at all. He has 1 tackle for loss. Don't know if he's going to be a threat or not. We might need to watch that guy. Their safety, their strong safety, I think. No, I think he's the free safety. He has 3 tackles for loss, so about the same rate. Here's their other linebacker, Jamin Davis. He has 2 tackles for loss. So where did all these 43 tackles for loss come from? Well, 10 of them came from Montez Sweat, who is not on the Commanders anymore. He's fucking gone. Okay, well, but they still got 6 of them from their interior defensive tackle, who defensive tackles haven't been hurting us this year because Brown and Lewis and Bradford have mostly crushed that shit. So he might be a problem. They also have Darren Payne up in the middle, who also has 6 tackles for loss. So we might not be able to run in those A and B gaps. And if you recall from yesterday about game plan, I said in their Cinco package with all 5, I said against my normal judgment not to attack the B gaps, but to actually attack that C gap, which is what they want you to do. They want you to attack the C gap so that they can overload and crash and force you to attack only one gap. But I would want you to pull and just kind of hit that outside gap with Walker and use that speed he has and give him options along the length of the line to read where you want to attack and hit, which is probably going to be that C gap. And so these defensive tackles, it looks like, have the ability to just get into those gaps and hit inside. Because if they're forcing the running back to run the length of that 5, then they're probably just beating the back to the gap. If Sweat is holding that edge because he's the end, then the back has nowhere to escape, aka doesn't have the C gap to go to and is forced inside, straight to the tackle for loss. And Chase Young, who also had 6 tackles for loss, we're going to play against the 49ers, played the other side. So you can either run strong against, I assume, Sweat, and then run weak against Young. And you got Ridgeway, Allen, and Payne up in the middle. And fucking... Oh, not Ridgeway. Oh, who's their third defensive tackle? Toohill. He's the end playing... Toohill and Smith Williams rotate? I guess they're rotating some guys. I guess that last spot is a rotational. Toohill has 3 tackles for a loss, but he plays defensive end. But yeah, Chase... So I guess Chase Young is going to be replaced by like a Toohill and a Smith Williams. And that goes also for Montez Sweat. Which means that Ridgeway is going to be their other defensive tackle with Allen and Payne. And then they have this dude. Man, they really fucked themselves up by getting rid of their ends. They have 3 really good defensive tackles, though. But I can totally see why it's like... It totally destroys their Cinco package. Because having those guys, though, like... I just looked at them like, man, those 5 guys are a goddamn unit. That's so many tackles for a loss, just those 5. Because our guys, like... We're using our linebackers. We got fucking Bobby getting tackles for loss. We got our safeties getting tackles for loss. Brooks has 7. And all of it adds up to 46 or whatever it was. And then with this, it's like 43, but it's all the defensive line, and then 3 of them are their safety. And it's just like, oh, this is how they're doing their damage. They're just fucking dominating on the D line. But it wasn't good enough, I guess. So they got rid of 2 of their best players. And they just got 3 really good defensive tackles. So, looking at this, do they not want to play Cody Barton? Or I don't know if they have enough defensive linemen to stick with the Cinco package. So we might see a 3... But do they have enough linebacker? We might see a 4-3 or a nickel. They might just go back to vanilla defense. I don't think they're going to get a lot of tackles for loss against us. Which means we might just move the ball. Which means we might not face a lot of third downs. Which means we might not have a lot of punts. AKA we might not have a lot of turnovers. Because they got rid of the positions that our offensive line is weak against. Unless the defensive tackles are just fucking units. Like if you can line one up like Big Red used to be and line him up at 5 tech. Or like 5-eye and have him just blow that hole. I don't know. I don't know. Jack Del Rio might be fucked. How are they doing on interceptions while we're here? Jatavius Martin has an interception. Emmanuel Forbes has an interception. Benjamin Sejuste, I don't know how to pronounce his name, has one. These are all corners. Kendall Fuller has 2. That's another interception. He's good. Wasn't he a Bronco for the longest time? No, he was on the Chiefs. He's picking off the Broncos. And then their linebacker Jamie Davis has 1. So they have 6 in total. And you know how much those corners love picking off Geno Smith this year. If they decide to run out the Cinco package, I hope they do, actually. I hope they run out the Cinco package, because then let's just line up Will Dissly. It was just... I hate running C. Let's just fucking go in the pistol formation. Like a heavy pistol formation. And let's just fucking run across the sea. And just watch these defensive tackles be like, but I can't reach him. He's too deep. And that tackle, we don't have a defensive end that can cut off Will Dissly. And just watch as DK we'll put him at flanker. And just watch as Walker just has this beautiful hole. Because Cody Barton, or whoever their fucking linebacker is, can't reach the hole because he's not as fast as Walker, and Dissly is beating their defensive end because they decided to trade them both. Please come out in the Cinco package. Del Rio, I am begging you. That'd be the worst decision against this Seahawks team. Even with Forsyth, it would be a bad decision. I don't think I have any more stats for you guys. I think that's it for Turnover Thursday. This is why focusing on turnovers is important, because you start to notice little things like that. Like, wait a minute. They can't even block this formation, because if they're in 4-3 and they can't even do that. Like, his whole thing is the Cinco package. And the Cinco package, actually, when you look at it on paper, hurts absolutely everything Geno Smith has been doing wrong on paper. From the out routes, to the comeback routes, to our inability to run the ball inside. So the Cinco package is like, we're going to stop you from running the ball inside. We're not going to let you run out routes, and we're not going to let you run comebacks. And we're going to stop this post route that you weren't able to run against the Ravens, and we're going to not let you have a check down. And then it's like, if you just ran fucking slants and corner routes and 9 routes and ran the ball better and smarter, you'd be fine. And if we just did that against, Cinco, we'd be all right. And then it turns out that their Cinco scheme might be broken because of these trades. So if we just followed what we needed to do, we'd be fine. So going into it, if they roll out in Cinco, there's a good chance our offense could kick their ass. But also, because their scheme is broken, they might have to go into a vanilla defense scheme that we're unaware of. Which means that if we just do what we need to do, we might kick their ass anyways. which goes back to the point of quit trying to focus on throwing explosives and throwing touchdowns. Just focus on not throwing turnovers. Just do what you need to do. Gino's good at throwing these dig routes. Let's focus on throwing these dig routes. Gino's good at throwing these corners. Let's throw in these corners. Oh crap, they're in cover 2. Well, you know what's good at stopping cover 2? Let's run the ball. So we're going to check to a run play. Oh shit, they're not in 5-1. That's great. We're going to run right up the gut. It's a formula. It's a process. Let's follow the process. A lot of teams have very specific ways about going things, about going, about their business. Ron Rivera and Eric Bieniemy, they want to spread the ball around, but it's not, and then they want to get up on front and they want to attack you on defense. And they want to make it so that you can't spread the ball around. It's a mirror reflection. And then last week on defense, they want to get up really toast, and then they want to beat you up and spread you around so that they can get to your soft spots. And then they want to beat you up and get to your soft spots. Well, what does Pete Carroll want to do? He wants to be adaptive. And he wants to make sure that whatever you're doing, we're just going to do it better, and we're going to follow the process exactly as it goes. And we're going to take care of the football. Whatever you do, we're going to do it better. That was the whole cover 3 thing. We're just going to play our brand of football, which is cover 3. We know what you're going to do, you know what we're going to do, and then we're just going to do it better. Well, we know what they're going to do, maybe, which is probably the Cinco package. And if not, we know that they're going to do probably a 4-2 nickel because they don't have enough linebackers, or they're probably going to do this. And, if that is the case, that's all fine because we need to be doing this specifically. Gino's, regardless of what they do, that's fine. We still need to be running the ball. And if we run through the B gaps and it turns out they're doing 5, that's fine. Because when they run 5, we need to be running C gap anyways. So we'll just get really good at running the C gap when they do that. It's not about, we're always going to run the B gap. I need to make sure I'm really good at running the B gap. Otherwise, it would be make sure we're super successful at what we want to do Thursday. That's why I'm like, Gino, it's not touchdown Thursday. It's turnover Thursday. We're not going to make mistakes Thursday. We're going to make sure we follow our process the way it needs to be done Thursday. The plays will develop the way we want it to be, the way it's planned. Things will be okay, Geno Smith, Thursday. They're going to do some craziness on their side of the field. We're going to follow our brand of football, and things are going to be okay, Geno Smith, Thursday. It's turnover Thursday. The defense is going to do what they're going to do, and turnovers are going to come in waves. When they come, they come. It's turnover Thursday. Don't you worry. As long as you stick to your brand of football, you'll get tackles for losses. You'll stop third downs. You'll be able to deflect the ball and stuff. Don't you worry. If you try too hard, you're going to get yourself out of position. It's the whole point of today. And so a lot of fans, they'll be like, well, we got to stop Geno Smith's interceptions. And what if Sam Howell comes in and explodes us and we're going to kick the Commanders' asses. Well, I hope that they also recognize how to accomplish these types of things. And a lot of teams, I think a lot of first-year coaches, like Nathaniel Hackett, they'll get in these narratives, but they don't understand why these narratives are important. And Geno Smith, when I heard him say earlier in the year, touchdown Thursday, it made me so fucking mad. Because I felt like he should have gotten it. Because it's about the entire process. From beginning to end. Because it's not about beating the Commanders. And it's not about turnovers necessarily. It's not about touchdowns. It's not about third downs or fourth downs or completing a pass or running the ball. It's about being in the exact moment that at that exact time and following the process. And by following the process, you won't get turnovers, but you might get the rest. You just got to follow the process, but you won't get the turnovers because those are what we're trying to avoid. It's about doing the right things and following the process by being able to see what's around you. And so I'm looking at this and I'm seeing what's around me, which is what type of routes he's successful at and what type of differential each team is good at. Or one team's good at picking off the ball, one team's good at getting fumbles, and one team carries the ball too much when one team doesn't. And it just gives me a good perspective before entering the game. And this is stepping back now from Turnover Thursday. Because we don't need to think this way as fans. I say we do, but really we don't. That's more for the hardcore fans. But, a lot of times fans enter a game and they're all, they're all pumped up. And then they're freaking out the entire game over things that were expected to happen. Why isn't he throwing more slants? Well, I asked the same question, but also kind of looks like he hasn't been. He needs to throw a comeback route. Well, he has been throwing interceptions to comeback routes, and it looks like they removed the problem. They need to get better at Geno not throwing interceptions. Well, he was throwing interceptions to comeback routes, and when you look at the fact that they're not running comeback routes anymore, it kind of looks like they're trying to make him better. So, when you get this initial context and then you go into a game, you can then watch and be like, cool, they're not throwing comeback routes. And then you need to acknowledge that if they are running a comeback route, well, why are they running a comeback route? It's probably to move a defender so you can look somewhere else on the field to see what's going on. And it just kind of makes games cool. Right, it adds an extra level to games. So I like observing these types of things, and it helps see why a quarterback threw a pick, and how he's improving, and if he's improving, instead of just this blanket statement he sucks. And a lot of sports radio is just, man, get rid of him. He sucks. Put Drew in. And maybe Drew we'd just have to go through the same thing with Drew. It'd be the same type of conversation, but in different ways. We'd have to identify based off of the chart what he's good at and what he's bad at. It would just, we would have to start it in week 10. So, we might as well keep doing what we're doing, which is identifying what Geno's good at, what he's bad at, and charge forward. Until he starts becoming a pick machine monster, which until now it looks like he's thrown 7 and he lost 2 fumbles, almost lost a third, and then Dallas lost 1. There's our 10 turnovers on the year. Hopefully it doesn't get worse. Looks like they're trying to make it better. If they weren't, they'd be calling those comeback routes all the time. Let's see if they keep calling those out routes. Like to see them called more digs. Sounds like Pete Carroll liked that dig route. Maybe we'll see more. So, I enjoyed this a little more than I thought I was. I thought this was, I don't know. I wasn't sure how I was going to talk about Turnover Thursday. Like and subscribe. I appreciated those of you that did show up. You didn't comment. That's fine. That's fine. But I appreciated you. I will catch you around, and go Hawks.